Hello everyone and welcome to week 3 of the UBLN. Your New York Empoleon are here ready to take on last year's champ Finley. He has got a great team. He has been extremely successful so far in this league. So have we, to be perfectly fair to ourselves. We're also doing alright in this league right now, but the two of us are coming in 2-0 each, ready to take on this game to determine who's going to go to 3-0 and who's going to fall back by a game. Now, he is in the other division, so this will be the only time we see him for the season until the finals, should we both make it there, which would be crazy if we did. But we're expecting him to bring me and Xiao, Tentacruel, Florges, Jirachi, Swellow, and Entei. The Hoopa could come. I could see that being a Scarf Hoopa, because Scarf Hoopa outspeeds my Mega Beedrill by 1 point if it's max speed timid. I could see him bringing the Mega Banette to taunt me or something, but primarily these are the 6 Pokemon that I think are the scariest that I think he's going to bring. Now, my team, as you can see, Gliscor, Registeel, Tapu Fini, Haxorus, Breloom, and Mega Beedrill. If you want to know those sets, I encourage you to go watch the team builder that got posted yesterday if you haven't already seen that. But we have this team rocking here, and I think they've got some potential. I think there's some fun tricks up my sleeve here. We're going to try to really hard to make sure that Swellow does not just roll over me, because it seems to do that to opponents. Now, we're going to get connected, and I will let you guys get back here in a second with that battle. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Leave a like if you do. I never say that. That was weird. I'm going to maybe cut that out. Anyway, I will see you guys back here in a second with the battle. Alright, everyone, welcome back. Here we are. Finley's done. We're done. We're ready to fight. And, good luck to Finley, my opponent. We're going to select our participating Pokemon right now. Let's see what he brought. We see the Linoon. Oh, no. I didn't want to see that at all. Alright. Hoopa, Unbound. Jirachi. Swellow. We do see the Swellow. Florges. Mega Banette. And Linoon. I really didn't want to see the Linoon. We know this Banette is Mega. Now, I'm expecting that Mega Banette to be his lead, and he's going to lead it against my Registeel. Expecting me to lead with the Registeel. He could Will-O-Wisp me, he could taunt me, and that is an option that I could go with. I could also go with the Tapu Fini to prevent any status, anything like that. And Tapu Fini has knockoff, which will do a huge chunk to the Mega Banette, and I doubt he'll see it coming. So we're going to take a look. Just real quick, calc it. That's Bayonetta, that's not Banette. Yeah, so it does a little bit more than Moonblast to the Banette. And I think it is a good lead. It prevents any sort of Will-O-Wisp onto my Pokemon from the Banette for a little while. Except for the Gliscor, which obviously is Scarfed this week. So we're going to get ours locked in. We're going to lead Finny. We are not going to lead with the Registeel as planned. I do want to get those rocks up. I do want to get them up early, but it's not the biggest priority. His only form of hazard removal, well, he's got Florges, which has Defog. He's got Florges, and he's got Swellow. So those are his forms of hazard removal if he chooses to go with that route. So I don't think I can always switch in on the Florges, the Registeel, pretty much, and I can definitely switch in on the Swellow if he already brings it in. So he's going to lead with his Hoopa. So Hoopa straight up leads. This thing could do any number of things. Let's take a look at like the most it can do. If it's like max special attack, modest nature, stab, psychic. I don't actually know. Like, I looked up what Hoopa does, but I really don't know what Hoopa does, to be perfectly honest. I'm always unsure of what this thing wants to do. Does it get Energy Ball? No. It could get Trick. Get Knockoff. Destiny Bond. I could click Knockoff here, though. Moonblast does so much damage, but Knockoff looks like really good utility. Moonblast doesn't OHKO anyway, even if he has no investment. So I'm just going to click Knockoff, and so he's going to switch out the Hoopa. We don't get to see its item. We don't get to knock off its item. That's too bad. But he goes into the Jirachi here to take the Moonblast, and he has a Colbur Berry, which is super interesting. So that's going to eat this Knockoff, but that's fine. We get rid of that item. And now he has a chance to get his rocks up. He also has a chance to go for like an Iron Head, but what does Jirachi do to me with like an Iron Head, let's just say? That's stab. He can't paralyze me right now. So let's go Iron Head, let's go max attack adamant just to see. He's doing like 20%. So Muddy Water looks like the play here. It's totally free. you know, supposing I land it. He goes for the Icy Wind. Okay, so he's going to slow me down, which is interesting. So I don't really know if he was predicting the Gliscor to come in there, and that's why he has the Icy Wind. But we miss our Muddy Water because that's what happens in my life a lot. So that's fine. He is revealing that he's kind of special. Maybe potentially specially invested. It's hard to tell. Muddy Water is still free, though. So I'm just going to click it one more time. I expect his Jirachi to stay in here. It would have been nice to get 50% on this thing. We see it's not leftovers, so maybe it's choiced in some way. But he goes for his rocks here. So we have Defog. We can get rid of those anytime. And we do actually land it this time. That's good. Don't miss 2 in a row. But we're going to miss something like every week, I'm sure. So that's super defensively invested, which is good to know. We don't get the accuracy drop, which is too bad. Now, obviously, I don't like the rocks being up. They do hurt my Beedrill. He doesn't know where my Defogger is right now as far as which Pokemon it is. So I can go for the Muddy Water again, maybe try to get an accuracy drop. I can go for the knockoff here, predicting him to switch, which I think he might do. But what would he even go into on a Muddy Water? Florges? I mean, Defog or knockoff are both pretty safe. I'm going to go for the knockoff here, predicting him to switch out. He goes for the Wish. Okay, so he could be Wish, Protect, Icy Wind, Stealth Rock. And if that's the case, then we have a lot of information about his set. So we do get a little bit of damage there. I'm not going to reveal that I have Defog right now. I'm just going to click knockoff again. If he does switch out, he switches out. If he doesn't, then we don't kill anyway with anything, so we'll be slow. That's fine. He's not even doing, he's not even doing my leftovers and damage with that. So a little bit of damage off. I'm not gonna click Defog yet. Want to get rid of this thing before I click Defog, and we hard wall this thing. He can't just switch in anything right now. So Muddy Water's doing a ton of damage. We are a relaxed nature anyway, so because I wanted to have the knockoff damage, so I don't think that the speed is important. He outspeeds me with literally everything on his team regardless. And now if he has Thunder Wave, he'll probably click it to try to get that paralysis onto my Tapu Fini, which would be kind of unfortunate, but it is okay. It isn't the end of the world. I could go out into Registeel here as well. This thing doesn't appear to have any way to handle a Registeel, but at the same time, I also like having the Tapu Fini. Now, I completely forgot a minute ago to switch around the Pokemon that he brought. So give me 1 sec while I do that right live for you guys. Because that's what, we usually have the Pokemon that he has with him, and we don't. So we're going to do that. So there they go. Got him in there. Is that U-turn? It looks like U-turn. Alright. Oops. So Icy Wind, Stealth Rock, Wish, U-turn. We see his full set on that thing. Florges comes out here. Now Florges is going to eat this Muddy Water probably. But we could get an accuracy drop here, which would be super nice. We don't, and he has leftovers. We see that, so let's write that down. Now he could have Toxic. How much does a Florges do to my Gliscor? Now, I don't love bringing Gliscor in here against a Florges. Moonblast is doing about 50% to a Gliscor. I don't love bringing it in. Mega Beedrill. Registeel could also come in here. Oops, that's not what I wanted. So Mega Beedrill from a Florges. Nothing. Psychic's doing a lot, but it's not OHKOing, but I don't want to take that damage. So I think Registeel is the look. Can't Toxic that. Pretty easy to do. He's going to switch out. What's he going to go into here? What's he going to predict? The Banette's going to come in. So that's interesting. He got Frisk on it, so he sees my leftovers. Oh no. But we do have the Mental Urge, so this isn't the worst thing in the world. And we can either click Thunder Wave or Stealth Rock for free. Now he's going to get a Prankster Taunt regardless, so he could try to go for that taunt here. Do I want to use my Mental Herb right now, or do I want to save it for later? I think getting my rocks up is good. He's got a Defog if he wants to get rid of rocks on his side of the field, so I'm going to click Stealth Rock. Obviously, it's Mega. He doesn't have to Mega first turn. We saw that in the first week. The guy never Mega'd at all, and that's totally fine. But he did have the Mega Stone on it. But he does Mega first turn, because why wouldn't you? Because he gets Prankster, and he's going to go for a Taunt. And that's totally acceptable. Taunt is acceptably what I'm looking for. So we are just going to click Stealth Rock here. You can't taunt me now. Or now you can taunt me, I guess. So he could go for a Taunt again, predicting me to I don't know what. But I could Thunder Wave, expecting him not to taunt again. He doesn't have anything immune to Thunder Wave right now. Swellow, obviously, but it's not immune to it, and it would slow it down a lot. So I could go for a Thunder Wave here. I don't expect him to taunt a second time, but I also kind of want to click Earthquake in case he does just decide to switch out into the Jirachi or something. But I'm going to click Thunder Wave. If he does taunt a second time, good on him. There's the knockoff, so we see taunt, we see knockoff. That's fine. We got exactly what we wanted out of that Mental Herb, which is got both the Thunder Wave and the Rocks up. And we ate that knockoff so well. So at this point, I can switch back into Finny, or I can. I was gonna say I could switch into my Beedrill here, which I don't love the idea of because he could have Shadow Sneak. Banette. Yeah, and Shadow Claw's doing a lot, so there's no reason to do that. I could just click Earthquake at this point, I guess. If he does taunt again, then we end up in good shape. He doesn't taunt, so he's going for an attack here. So we're just going to go to an Earthquake off. It does like 20%, that's okay. And we get the full para, so we're looking good right now. Registeel's doing what Registeel does. I can click Earthquake again, I can click Thunder Wave for taking a switch here. He could go out into Swellow on the free switch in. He could go out into Florges here as well. I've overpredicted on Thunder Waves before, and at the same time, it's like, what does this thing do to me that I'm worried about, right? So I don't see him sacking it off at this point. It's got priority probably. It's got Prankster, so I'm going to click Thunder Wave. And I think the Florges is going to come in to try to get rid of the rocks while his Jirachi is still healthy. That's the prediction, and I think the Thunder Wave will be really good on that Florges when it comes in. The alternative being he might go out into like Linoon or Hoopa to try to start setting up with them in my face, which that's not what I want to see. So getting a paralysis on the Linoon would be huge. But at the same time, I mean, this thing is so important to the rest of the game too, this Registeel, that because Linoon and Swellow both can't really touch it, that letting it take more damage is not going to be very ideal. So regardless of what happens here, I'm probably going to switch it out. Finny is really helpful, but it's not vital to my success. And knowing that Finny hard walls Jirachi is really, really nice. But again, I have other answers to Jirachi, although that Icy Wind on Jirachi is really scary. We know he has no item on it anymore. So if he goes for the taunt again, that's fine. I predicted a switch anyway. And at this point, I think... I kind of want to switch out. Like I said, this thing is really important to taking down Swellow, and letting him chip away at it is not what I want to see right now. So he could go for a knockoff here. He could go for a Shadow Claw here to try to get something hit pretty hard. How much... So Haxorus is only doing about 60% of this thing, and it's going to take a lot of damage. I kind of want to stay in and go for one more Earthquake, at which point Haxorus can kill this thing with an Earthquake of its own on the switch in. So we're going to go for one more. Unfortunately, he does go into Hoopa here. So I could have gotten that switch in to something else, but this thing could be Scarfed. That's a good amount of damage on the Hoopa from this uninvested Registeel, which makes me think it's very offensive. Because Hoopa Unbound, yeah, that's really offensive Hoopa. Explosion kills this thing, but he could also do a ton to me, and Registeel's way too important to just like let it explode right now. Now Hoopa does a lot of damage to Finny, but not... I mean, if he goes for a Psychic type attack, predicting a switch, that's fine. If he goes for a dark type attack, I obviously resist that. And I am going to play as if this is Scarfed Hoopa, because I think he would run Scarfed Hoopa to outspeed Beedrill, because Scarfed Hoopa outspeeds Beedrill by 1 point when it's max speed Timid. So I do believe this is Scarfed Hoopa. He goes for the trick here. Okay, so now I'm Scarfed Finny. Is that what's happening? I'm Scarfed Finny now, so he's now Leftover Hoopa, which is actually fine, because it means he's no longer Scarf Hoopa. And it means that I have a Scarfed Finny. Scarfed Relaxed-Natured Finny. So, now my calcs are really interesting, because I still don't outspeed Swellow, but I should outspeed anything else on his team. And now I could click Moonblast, but he could go out into the Jirachi here if I do that. But even if he does that, like, I should still be able to be okay. Let's see. So I could go for Moonblast. If he goes into Jirachi, then I just switch out. I know that, well, he's got the Icy Wind, which will slow down Mega Beedrill, so I can't just hard switch that in. But, you know, I could Muddy Water predicting that switch. Or I could just, I don't know. I really don't know what to do here. I kind of want to just Moonblast, honestly. And if he switches into Jirachi, he switches into Jirachi. So he's going to switch out, and he's going to go right out into Jirachi. So, I could have Muddy Watered. I wanted to predict that, but it ended up just being the safer play, in my opinion, to go for the Moonblast here. Registeel switches in on this Jirachi literally every time. We get the special attack drop. Does that matter? I mean, Icy Wind's not going to do anything anymore. He's going to Wish, though. Like, I'm 100% confident that he's going to Wish right here. Like, he has to Wish right here. He has no choice but to click Wish or U-turn. Either, like, he could click U-turn. And if I don't make a play at this point, as he wishes, then I miss my chance. Now, one play is out into Haxorus, which gets outsped by this thing anyway, so the Icy Wind doesn't super matter, although he's bulky. He seems to be specially bulky. So if I look at my Haxorus set, and I look at it against Jirachi, and let's just say it's max HP Jirachi, Earthquake is still doing 65 to 75%. He's got Icy Wind. Let's say he's max special attack. He's not, but let's say he is. Let's say he's modest, and let's say he's at -1, because that's what we're looking at right now. 30% tops, so we can take 2 of those. And so I think he's going to Wish here. I just don't think he has a choice but to click Wish here. And if he does click something else, that's just incredible. Just incredible preparation. So yeah, U-turn was the other option. That I was like, oh, he might click U-turn. Which made me want to go into Beedrill, but I think Haxorus is okay in this situation. He could go into Swellow, perhaps. Florges is a good switch-in-ish. Not really. Actually, what am I saying? He thinks Florges is a good switch-in. And he's got leftovers. He doesn't have the Kibia Berry, which we did calc against. And that means I can click... If he switches and predicts me to do this right now, if he knows that I have Poisonium Z and he switches out... Okay, he goes for Protect here, so I could have just... That would have been a crazy Dragon Dance. But that's okay. That would have been a really crazy Dragon Dance if I'd gone for it. Arguably, I should have gone for just Poison Jab here, in case he has Protect, because I haven't seen any moves on this thing. But we do get a huge Poison Jab off on this thing. I mean, it's still 25% of what it was going to do, which is a decent amount of damage. And I can click Poison Jab again if I want to and kill the Florges at this point. So that is an option. He could go out into Jirachi, but Jirachi can't take an Earthquake if it switches in, so I don't really mind just clicking Poison Jab here and taking out a Florges. That would be perfectly fine by me if he lets his Florges go down here. We do have to start breaking down these walls of Jirachi and Florges. Between the two of them, they are a problem for my team, and as we start breaking them down, Registeel has a chance to come in on the things that it needs to and switch in and maybe explode on something a little bit later in the match. So he's going to switch out. If he goes back into Jirachi, that's okay by me. He goes into Banette here. So Banette does resist this poison jab. So unfortunately, it does have a chance to, not a chance to, it's going to survive this, no problem. And the mist disappears from the battlefield, so if he has some sort of item that allows him to, not item, but move that allows him to do something to me, like Will-O-Wisp, I don't want him to click it. I've been wrong on my predictions for a while now, so I need to be just a little bit more careful. Will-O-Wisp would be a problem. This Haxorus still does a ton to his team. And the only non-physical attacker on my team right now is Tapu Fini. So I kind of want to switch just right into Tapu Fini. It is Choice Scarf Tapu Fini, so I do have to keep that in mind. And I really don't love that it baits in the Jirachi, and the Jirachi can wish on me. And so a part of me is like, Haxorus, what do you do? Obviously a lot. You do a ton of damage to literally everything. And this thing really doesn't hit you that hard. Let's see. It can hit you pretty hard. You'll survive any hit from it, but I could go for a Dragon Dance here to outspeed everything on his team, and try to sweep if he does get fully paralyzed. And I think it's the time to do that. He goes for Destiny Bond. Now, that's pretty terrifying, to be perfectly honest. But I do click Dragon Dance here, and I can click it again now until he either gets fully paralyzed or clicks Taunt. Now, he could click Taunt here, predicting me to Dragon Dance again to avoid the Destiny Bond. So I could switch out. Part of me really wants to switch out on that Taunt. He's not going to click Shadow Claw or anything, I don't think, unless he's like, oh, he'll just attack. He thinks I'm going to click Dragon Dance again, because I'm a good enough player to know, obviously, you click Dragon Dance again in this situation. Now, everything kills this thing is the problem. So, the only thing that I could bring in here is Tapu Fini. But I don't want to lose Tapu Fini just yet. So, if he taunts and then he Destiny Bonds, like, I have to switch out at some point. So I might as well switch out now. I could switch out into... He's going to taunt. He's going to taunt. I'm making the call right here that he's going to click Taunt. No, he didn't. Alright, so that's fine. Haxorus is going to get a kill, and it's going to go down to the Destiny Bond. And that's alright. Haxorus kills Mega Banette with Earthquake. Mega Banette kills Haxorus with Destiny Bond. Florges becomes a really solid problem at this point in the game, but he doesn't have a Scarfed Hoopa, he doesn't have a Scarfed Jirachi, and I don't think Lanoon is Scarfed. So at this point I think that Beedrill can switch in. It's going to take 25%, which I don't really like, but it does handle literally everything on his team that wants to switch into it. We also can explode at some point during this match. I don't see him protecting with his Florges when my Registeel's in. He might protect a Scout if I'm going to click Iron Head or not, because he hasn't seen the last move on my set, but I know Beedrill's going to take 25%, but it's not Scarfed Hoopa anymore. I think the only move we've seen is Trick. So... yeah, and in comes that Hoopa. So he's going to take a little bit of rocks. We're going to take a little bit of rocks. And then we're going to Mega Evolve. Does Hoopa get priority? I need to learn. It gets Destiny Bond. But it's not whatchamacallit anymore. Choice Scarf. Doesn't look like it learns priority of any kind. I don't see any priority. So if I Mega, I can click U-turn and get out of here. I can click Knockoff. I'm just going to click U-turn. So he stays in. He could protect. That would be priority that it learns, I guess, technically. But I think he's just going to let it go down here. Yeah, so Mega Beedrill kills Hoopa U with U-turn. And now he does get switch initiative off of that, but that's a huge offensive threat. that I don't have to worry about anymore. And I could go out into, again, I really just don't want to bring in Jirachi and let it wish. So I could go out into Gliscor here. Gliscor actually looks really, really good. There's no way he's predicting a Scarf Gliscor right now. And what is... Florges is at about 50%. So Earthquake does 44 to 52% to a standard Florges if he's specially defensive. Or physically defensive. So I think it kills anything that comes in. And he can't be expecting me to be Scarfed, but he is going to see that I am not Toxic Orb. He does now know that I am not Toxic Orb. So he could go into Jirachi, which he may think will outspeed me. He thinks he can get the Icy Wind off or the Wish off. But, I mean, max physically defensive Jirachi, let's just, I mean, I'll calc it. Max HP, max defense is still taking 50 to 60% from this Gliscor's Earthquake. So he does go into Florges here. Florges is going to take Stealth Rocks. And I think from that range, I think Earthquake's going to kill. And it may not reveal that I'm Scarfed either. This Florges is probably not speed invested. I don't think he can live an Earthquake unless he's like extremely defensive. Now it does mean that if the Swellow does come in, I have to switch out, but yeah, Florges goes down. So Gliscor kills Florges with Earthquake. So he's probably looking at that like, okay, this is a very offensive Gliscor because it had to be in order to do that much damage to a Florges. But he doesn't, I don't think he has any idea yet that I'm Scarfed. And I want to keep it that way for a little bit longer. If he does bring in the Jirachi, I will reveal that I am Scarfed, and he will be able to go into the Swellow at this point. To which I just switch into the Registeel, which is still very, very healthy. And that's totally okay. I just switch into the Registeel. It takes a couple hits from the Swellow. Maybe I click Explosion on the Lanoon or something. So he switches into the Lanoon here. And Earthquake does enough that he can't Belly Drum. Because if he starts Belly Drumming in my face, that's really bad. Although if he's Gluttony, he will Belly Drum anyway. And I can't knock off right here because I am Scarfed, obviously. But again, he probably thinks this thing outspeeds my Gliscor. And so he just wants to Belly Drum in my face, which is, you know, totally reasonable. I could go into my Registeel here. I could go into my Finny here. How much does this thing do at +6? I mean, I was so scared of this Linoon when I was prepping. This thing's horrifying. I have no idea. Nope, not that. Not that. At +6, how much do you do? You're doing 60 to 70% with an Extreme Speed, which means I can take 1 at +6. So and you'll be at full health. Moonblast is going to do 63 to 75%, and then I can switch back in, or I can switch out into something else at that point to take the extra hits. So we are going to go into Finny here. I think this thing, even after rocks, can take 1 +6 Extreme Speed. Yeah, there's the Belly Drum. I mean, this thing has 1 set, and it's a really good set. But not revealing that I'm Scarfed on Gliscor is really big. I believe Gliscor at +6 can take 1 Extreme Speed. No, it can't. So Registeel is my only option after this. But he has to go for it here. I click Moonblast every time. So there's the Extreme Speed. I think we live this. Okay. I don't really know necessarily how that killed, but... Whoops. So Registeel is obviously the only switch in here, and the only button I can click right now is Explosion, which is really, really unfortunate, but I can't let this thing keep getting attacks off on me. Now Finny went down, which I have to mark, but I have to look at Linoon really quick. Linoon 252 Adamant at +6. I don't know what this thing can do. He could go for dig. He does learn dig. I could earthquake if he to see if he digs. I'm gonna click earthquake in case he digs here. Oh, it gets stomping tantrum now. Well, that's slightly weaker than dig, I guess. Man, I should have just exploded. Should have just exploded. How do I defeat this thing? I think I just get swept now. I mean, like... he just extreme speeds everything. My only chance is if he doesn't think that Gliscor can take it. I should have just explode. Why didn't I click explosion right there? Why did I not click explosion? He goes for the throw chop, predicting a switch. Potentially. I knew this thing. I mean, I didn't... that was really, really dumb. That was a huge misplay. If I still had... if I got rid of the rocks, then I would be able to bring in Breloom here and survive a hit. But extreme speed should kill everything from here on out. I'm actually not sure why it killed Finny. If I'm at 130... I was at 133. So that was a roll on Finny. It was a 68% chance to kill Finny. I mean, my only chance is that he expects to outspeed me with this thing, but extreme speed is his strongest attack anyway. So I mean, why did I not explode? That's just like... always explode if you have the opportunity to explode. That was it. That was my chance to stay in this game. I had other answers to Swellow. I did not need that Registeel to handle the Swellow. If he thinks he's going to outspeed me and goes for like a throat chop for some reason, then that would be my only other chance of winning this game. But there's the extreme speed. It should take us out from here. And it does. And I think we're just about to get swept by a Linoon. I don't think we have a chance here to do anything other than that. You know, that is... it was something I was looking at in prep, like, I just do not want to see it. I knew that it was a problem for my team. I should have exploded on it. I had a chance to do that. I really don't know why I didn't do that. Like, that's literally me sitting here like, I should click explosion, and then clicking not explosion. That would have taken out the Linoon, and I would have been in okay shape to deal with the rest of his team. Gliscor literally could have killed both of those Pokemon. Beedrill could have killed both those Pokemon. What was I possibly thinking? I've like, no idea what just happened. But great game, Finley. This is why he is the champion of the league and why I lose in the finals of leagues, because I choke when the pressure gets high. But great game, Finley. I hope that you have success in this league. I hope I see you again in the finals and get a chance to redeem myself for not clicking explosion. I literally am seething right now. I can't, I'm like sweating too. I'm like, I can't believe that I didn't click explosion right there. I have no idea what went through my head. I'll watch this video back and just like facepalm at myself and just scream at my computer being like, click explosion, click explosion, click explosion, you win the game. All you need to do is click explosion. You prepped for this moment, you will win the game. And I threw it away. So anyway, I hope everyone had a fun time watching this video. I had a fun time battling last year's champion. I will see everyone next week with another battle in the UBLN. In our little Canadian block, we face the Toronto Tepigs. I don't know if I actually said that, but Finley is coach of the Toronto Tepigs. Next week we face the Toronto Togekiss, and then after that we face the Calgary team. So we have the Canada block of my UBLN experience right here, but I hope everyone enjoyed. I'll see you all next week. We are still 2-1. We are still in the driver's seat in our division, so I hope that you guys stick with us. The New York Empoleon will come back next week ready to go. Take care, everybody.